You know that medicine you rely on every day? Well, there's a microscopic battle going on behind the scenes just to keep it pure. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden science that guarantees it's safe. And trust me, the stakes couldn't be higher. Here's a question that might make you think twice. In a giant factory that makes dozens of different kinds of medicines, how do you make absolutely sure that the headache pill made today has zero trace of yesterday's heart medication? Well, the answer is a resounding no, it can't. And that's not by luck. It's because of a super rigorous scientific discipline that is all about preventing cross-contamination. Because, in the pharmaceutical world, tiny is a massive deal. A microscopic residue, something you could never see, could cause a serious allergic reaction, trigger a bad side effect, or even just make the medicine not work at all. That's why we need absolute certainty. And that certainty is built on science. Okay, so how on earth do they achieve this level of clean? Well, first things first, we need to get one thing straight. This is not about just wiping things down. We are talking about a fundamental pillar of patient safety, one that's built on a foundation of documented, repeatable science. And this isn't just some company's good idea, It's a core principle. This quote here is from the Parenteral Drug Association. These are the experts who set the global standards for things like injectable drugs. They make it crystal clear. This isn't just cleaning. It's a scientifically validated process specifically designed to eliminate risk. So the industry's official answer to this huge challenge has a specific name: cleaning validation. I know it sounds a little technical, but the idea behind it is incredibly important and actually pretty straightforward when you break it down. Let's just tear that definition apart for a second. The magic words here are documented evidence. It's not enough to say something is clean. You have to provide cold, hard, scientific proof. It's all about showing, with a super high degree of confidence, that you can consistently clean to a specific microscopic level every single time. And this is where it gets really interesting. This chart really shows the huge difference between what we think of as clean and what the pharmaceutical world demands, right? When you clean your kitchen, your goal is to get rid of the visible dirt. The proof? Hey, it looks clean. But in validated cleaning, the goal is to remove invisible chemical residues. The method isn't just wiping, it's a whole scientific process. And the proof doesn't come from your eyes, it comes from a lab. Here's maybe the best way to think about it. Imagine a restaurant kitchen that needs to be absolutely certain there's no peanut residue before making a meal for someone with a severe allergy. The stakes are literally life and death. Okay, now imagine that allergen is a potent drug, and you're preparing millions of doses of another medicine. The principle is exactly the same, but the scale and the scientific precision are just magnified 1,000 times over. So how do they actually pull this off? How do they achieve this incredible level of clean? Well, it's not about using a stronger soap. It's a carefully balanced equation of 4 key scientific principles. And they've got a great little acronym for it: TACT. That stands for time, action, concentration, and temperature. Think of it like a recipe. Each of these 4 variables has to be perfectly optimized for every single product and every piece of equipment. Too little time, and it fails. Too high a concentration, and you might not be able to rinse it away. It's this delicate, scientific dance to find the one perfect combination that guarantees results. But just performing the TACT process, well, that's only half the battle. The other half, and you could argue it's the more important half, is gathering the hard evidence to prove that it actually worked. This is the big question, right? The equipment might be gleaming stainless steel. It looks totally spotless. But how do you know with scientific certainty that it's ready for the next product? The answer is basically a 3-step process of scientific detective work. So first, you have to define what success even looks like. You set these incredibly strict science-based limits for any potential gunk left behind. Next, you have to collect the evidence. Technicians go in and physically take samples directly from the equipment surfaces. And finally, you analyze the results. Those samples go to the lab to be tested with some seriously sensitive equipment to see if you hit your target. And these limits, they're not just picked out of a hat. They're carefully calculated based on patient safety. A typical limit, for example, is less than 1/1000%. To put that into perspective, that means no more than 1/1000th of a single therapeutic dose of the previous drug can carry over. That is an astonishingly small target to hit. So to see if they've hit that tiny target, scientists go on a hunt for residue using 2 main techniques. The first is swab sampling. This is just like a detective dusting for fingerprints. They use a special swab to physically wipe a specific hard-to-clean area. The other way is rinse sampling. This is kind of like testing the bathwater. You wash the entire system with a solvent and then you test that liquid to see what came off. Each method is chosen strategically to find residue wherever it might be hiding. So these samples get analyzed in a lab using this incredibly powerful technology that can detect substances down to the parts per billion level. But what I find really cool is that the first line of defense, according to all the official guidance, is still just the human eye. If you can see any residue, it's an automatic fail. It's not clean, period. All that high-tech gear is there to find what our eyes could never possibly see. Okay, so the process is designed and proven. But the job isn't done. The final piece of the puzzle is making sure that that validated process stays perfect, day in and day out, batch after batch. And that requires a continuous system of controls. It means routinely monitoring those TACT parameters, having a strict change control process so that any tiny modification gets reevaluated, and of course, constantly training the operators. It's a living system, really, designed to maintain that high degree of assurance indefinitely. Ultimately, that's what this all boils down to. Cleaning validation is the science of proof. It's the invisible safety net that ensures the medicine you take is pure, safe, and effective by making absolutely certain that the last drug made never becomes an accidental ingredient in the next one. It's a fascinating thought, really. Our world is built on countless invisible systems just like this, working in the background to protect us every single day. So what are the others? It's definitely something to think about the next time you see a simple pill. Thanks for joining me.